we do something affirmatively to cause that individual who might have wanted to seek information on to get the information.
And you have to look at it from the bidder's perspective as well, is that now that their number's out there, does it present a problem? So they cooperated and qualified their bid in accordance with the document. I don't know what the threshold is, if there's a period of time that RFIs need to be submitted. There's nothing that is in the document that says all questions must be submitted no later than a certain date. We don't have that.
Right.
So I don't know what the law says. The law says, but if we could go, if my recommendation to the commission would be that if we can reject and rebid, we should, because I think we'll get better numbers. Normally, I've seen numbers on a rebid 10 to 20% lower, which I think we want to invite competition. The question is the commission, do we have an avenue of financing this type of project? I think the Rice City Commission committee that was put together felt wholeheartedly that we should see a return on the investment within 3 to 5 years. Mayor Pillow, is that correct?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Mr. Soares, it's all right to be recognized. First of all, I just want to thank Commissioner Salanitro. We're really, really lucky to have Commissioner Salanitro on this body, because he really brings a lot of subject matter knowledge about procurement and about some rigor. And Benny, really, the effort that you put into this in particular, I want to thank you for it. We started out on this casting a really wide net, and we weren't really particular on what the solution. We wanted to see what the market would bear. And if that created some confusion with one of the applicants that had a question, and whether there was a burp in the process or something in response, that concerns me, and that in and of itself is a reason to consider rejecting and rebidding. So I agree with Mayor Feinstein and Commissioner Salanitro. But to that threshold question, so it's $140, let's call it $150,000, and it smells like a 3-year. And that's not for the beach, right? That was just for the parking. I don't have the financials in front of me.
Both.
Mayor, it's $268 for the turnkey bid.
And it was
that includes the beach entries, the kiosks, the handhelds, the double entry exit. We have the ability to reverse according to the activity. There's a whole host of other miscellaneous items that are in there, soft costs, if you will, as well as the hard costs. So the total project, if it were to be awarded to the sole bidder, was $268.
Well, I guess
strategically, strategically, right? It's going to save us money and liability. So it's a great idea to do. The question is, do we have a fund balance where we can pay for it? Can we bond it, right? Or can these payment terms be arranged as such where it just, ends up at the deficit at the end with the town, right? Is the town and the city of Rye really willing to carry the cost? If we couldn't bond, or if we don't have a fund balance,
we'll be able to
right?
bond,
That's
but
how
I
it would
think
be
that
absorbed.
Council, we'd be able to bond at the town of Rye, I presume City of Rye as well, but I guess the question is, since we're the financial backers.
That given, I'd be worth the investment.
What I'm hearing Commissioner Salanitro say is, well, so look, what's the trade-off? The trade-off is we're going to lose some time if we rebid, but Commissioner Salanitro saying we might get it at a lower.
And we have the lower
competition will always bring a lower number.
Lower number. So I guess the question is, Mayor French and Commissioner Sack, we're the ones picking up the ticket here. My inclination is, what will we lose? 2 months, Commissioner Salanitro?
Oh, well, first I have to figure out whether we have legal obligation to reject this bid based on the fact that the RFI was received. I don't know what the legal stuff is.
No, I'm not rejecting on that basis. I'm rejecting.
Well, you have to.
You have the ability to reject it regardless for any or no reason.
Well, you should give a good reason.
Well,
budgetary limitations.
I think we need our controller and Roxanne to put together a financial plan. I walked in with a series of IOUs that had to be bonded for. Our borrowing capacity is maybe $250,000 without overall public property. So
you're tight.
As far as bonding is concerned. And then, I had a nice conversation with Lieutenant Governor Duffy. Mayor Pill and I did. 2% tax cap is real, so our ability, to fund things and not have it go against the cap is something we've got to seriously look at. So I think we've come up with a financial plan, while at the same time we want to reject the bid and go out and
It sounds like that's where we're leaning. Is that, unless
Yeah.
anybody objects, I think in this tight environment for costs and expenditures, we're going to lose, I presume, 2 months, Commissioner Salonicho, maybe as much as 3.
Yeah, I think the focus here on this bid was that if it were to be awarded either tonight or the next meeting, that we'd have some of the infrastructure in place by the end of the season where we open up the park to, the parking lot is open. So we get a good, start to massage the system, get the bugs out. It would be towards the end of the season, maybe actually after the season officially closed, if you will.
Well, I think
So that
we're
was the
talking
timeline.
about, so the 2 or 3 month delay doesn't really impact much.
You're talking about perhaps having something in place by the end of September if you approve
Yeah.
today, as opposed to perhaps having something in place by December if you approve it, if you rebid it and look at it.
How problematic is that?
Well, the only problem is that as of October 31st, I will be the sole remaining employee of Rytown Park. There will be no one there.
That's a big problem.
Because remember, our entire staff is seasonal and everybody.
Okay, but other than that, okay.
So we may need to take on a project manager if one of the villages can provide one. That would be nice.
I think the issue should not be the timing. I think the issue should be doing it right.
Perfect.
And that should be the prime consideration.
So
We've waited all these years, we've talked about it, so let's just wait and do it
Let's
right.
get it right.
I personally think we should reject the
Do we need
bid.
to vote on that?
Yes, your resolution to reject it.
I make a
Okay.
motion.
Before we vote,
You have a question?
Well, again, we got 15 minutes, we got a lot of business to go
I'll do it
through.
in 60 seconds or less. I mean, basically, I think we need to do this as soon as possible, and I'm concerned that this monkey wrench has, come up in this way at this time. And, a suspicious person might think that it was done on purpose. I don't know. I mean, I rely on our council to tell us how to do this bidding process and do it right. But quite frankly, if...
Whoa, I'm going to stop you right there, Commissioner Sack. You're not delaying this because of the RFI. I want to be very clear. I'm not prepared to spend $268,000 on the system. So I'm making very clear.
Okay,
So I'm not rejecting this bid because of the RFI. I'm rejecting this bid because of the financial sense. 1, 2, I just heard that what I can actually bond. I've got a much greater capacity to bond. Sounds like the city of Rye. But if you're $250,000, I would have thought you're a little tight.
maybe we can find out a way
the
to do
bonding.
it.
When we get to that, because we're going to get in a second to the city for the financials for this year. I think we're going to have a $150,000 shortfall in revenue this year, if not $200,000. So you may be needing that money to cover the operating budget. So I am loath to spend $268,000. So
No, I hear you, but maybe...
I want to make it clear, it's not the RFI.
But the savings is what it's all about, and maybe we can figure out a way to pay for it. Maybe the city of Rye would pay for the whole thing as long as we get to keep the increased revenue. Maybe that's the way to structure it. I don't know.
All right.
I'm only half joking.
Mr. Supervisor?
Okay,
Mr. Supervisor, real quick for the record, actually, I
Yes,
want to echo and emphasize your point that, we're obviously, legally, we can't award a contract unless we have a funding and appropriation mechanism already established. It's pretty clear. We don't know how we're going to pay for this, but I misspoke, and that's why the second point that I want to make. The cash flows, once this is implemented, basically, we don't have to have as much staff, right? So there's going to be a cash flow offset beginning in the year it's implemented, and I seem to recall this is a 10-year asset. If we were to bond for it, the cash flow savings in the personnel would be greater than the cash flow cost for the cost of carrying the debt. So it's worth doing, it's worth formalizing that bonding arrangement, it sounds like with the town of Rye, between the village. Reject the bid, tee that up in the meantime. If there's a wider net we can cast for solutions, because really that was our thing. And if there was a technical problem with our bid response, and that's a good reason to do whatever, let's use the time, I guess, fully to explore all the possibilities while we put this funding source in
great.
place.
Thank you, Commissioner Salonitro. I want to thank Commissioner Pill and Commissioner Salonitro for all the hard work you've done. And I'm really
Especially on
looking to your, I agree with you, the fundamental point here with Commissioner Salonitro is cost.
I'll put forward a motion.
Please.
I'll put forward a motion that Rytown Park Commission has publicly noticed and bid for furnishing and delivering automated revenue management system for Rytown Park. And on May 6, 2011, bids were opened and received by its agent, Bishop Nowotnik, on such date. One bid was received. Within that bid, 3 proposals, as described in A, B, and C, respectively $155,091 for proposal A, $198,091 for proposal B, $268,091 for proposal C, and that the Wright-Town Park Commission at its meeting on June 21st, 2011, in consideration of financial obligations and the desire to have competitive bids, has hereby requested that the bid be rejected, and that staff be authorized to retune the bid specification in the hopes of receiving competitive bids and for its next meeting in July.
Can I get a second?
Can we put in a deadline for RFIs, you know, so it doesn't...
Well, we don't have to do that.
We don't
will
do that,
do
we
that
don't do that,
automatically.
sir. You can ask them, and we detached 2 commission members to work on this, and we have a whole committee working on it. I'm sure if you suggest that to them, they will. Can I get a second?
Okay. And Commissioner French?
Yes to reject.
Okay. Commissioner Phillip?
Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Feinstein?
Yes.
Commissioner Salonito?
Yes.
Commissioner Sack?
Yes.
Commissioner Carmen?
Yes. All right, now,
6-0.
the park staff has put together a terrific report, given the shortage of time and the fantastic report. I'm going to go forward to the May finance report, if I could. Well, first of all, just let me say, I look, last year I went down to the park and it was Murphy's Law. Every time I got down there was something wrong. This time I got down there, it's absolutely fantastic. I've noticed improvement. I want to thank the staff for all the hard work. I think that, you know, really sort of 2-3 years on now, we're getting the hang of it. Big improvement in parking security. I thank Terry, Bill, and Fred for all your hard work. But if the commission doesn't mind, if we have time at the end, I'd like to go through the park manager report, but I want to get to the numbers because the numbers are worrying. And this is the May, the great report. Also, it was a very comprehensive report. By the way, the best report I've seen from you guys. Thank you. And we'll make it available online for the public as well.
Yes.
Okay, look, the numbers. I'm worried about the numbers. We always said once we establish the fees, we have no control of the revenues. If you look at the May numbers, I'm looking at the May report, Wright-Town Park Commission income expense statement through May. Yeah.
Top sheet, Joe?
Yes, exactly
Yes.
right. And I just did some, you know, look, if you take parking fees, last year at this time they were $52,000. This year they're $30,000. Last year our actual was $335,000. Our budget this year is $300,000. So if I take 52 and I divide it by last year's actual, 335, that means we basically 15% of the revenues would have been accrued as of this time. So if you take the $30,000 and you assume that's 15%, you're going to end up with $200,000 rather than the budget at $305. Okay? So that's a $100,000 shortfall, and then so on and so forth. So I'm concerned that we can have a significant revenue shortfall this year. I think we're susceptible to that. I don't really think it's so much the rain as it is. I think that our policy, our differential pricing policy, as a number of non-residents decided they just don't want to pay that. That's my sense. So the question is, you know, okay, if we lose $100,000 in revenue, I know that the staff is managing the expenses, and we go through that in detail. But I think there's a real risk for $120,000 shortfall this year in revenues. That's the first point. We need to manage expenses, and I'm confident the staff's going to do. We have systems in place to do that. The one question I have for the board, talking to one of the Rise City finance people, he was suggesting that on the holiday weekends, and I know there's people here that are going to oppose this, the holiday weekends we not turn anybody away. So on July 4th, Labor Day weekend, we consider not turning anybody away.
Did we turn anyone away on Memorial Day?
I don't think we did this year, did we, Fred? No.
I think you have to make an assessment on the safety.
Or the last year, it's
You know,
inconsistent with what we did.
I really have to make a safety assessment on the park. I don't think we can have absolute state.
Well, Mayor Pill, it's a question, I think what I want everybody here to know, that I think we're gonna have a revenue shortfall. So that's one suggestion. Maybe Fred or Terry or Bishop, you can just talk about what you're doing to manage staff in this, this environment where we're anticipating lower revenues. You've just gone up, Fred?
Just quickly, first of all, good evening, Commissioners. Second of all, you all have a copy of the report, so you understand the numbers.
I just want to focus on what you guys are doing to manage.
I'm going to
We're
focus on.
sending people home.
Right, well, that's what I'm public to hear.
We have employee supervision and evaluations. We meet bi-weekly with our senior staff, and twice during the summer we're going to do evaluations of all employees. So all the employees that are under their different departments will be evaluated. For instance, tomorrow we have a meeting where our supervisors bring in evaluations, and then we go over them and make sure that people understand what our rules and procedures are, because we have them written down, understand their job description, because they've all been given a copy of that. We had at the beginning of the year, we brought everybody together.
Sorry, Fred, but we're tight for time. So what are you doing in terms, when it rains, are you sending people home
Oh, right now, we're within $3,000 of our budget.
in terms of expenditures?
In terms of expenditure.
Okay.
And the reason why that is because when there's bad weather, we're sending people home. When there's so-so weather, we keep a skeleton crew, and we're doing that in all departments. And it's on a day-by-day basis. So we confer early in the morning, we make decisions, and then even during the day, if I see that it's a little slow, I'll send some parking people home, we'll send a security guard home, or our lifeguards.
Okay, so basically, just again, I want to encourage you to continue to do that. We're clearly going to be revenue shortfall mode. I want you to, one other quick question, we're real tight for time, sorry, Bill. Just on the lifeguards, we had a drowning in a neighboring beach. I saw an email back and forth. Could you just tell people about what our lifeguard situation is?
Yeah, Mayor French sent me an email asking me what our situation is. We have the equipment necessary for defibrillation. And it's in working condition, it's checked once a week. All of the lifeguards are in a position that they're trained, they're certified, they fall within the certification of the state of New York. In fact, our two chief lifeguards, the captain and the assistant captain, have put in 50 years between the two of them at Rye Town Park. One is credentialed to teach and does teach at different schools, and we're now in the process of bringing our security guys up to par as equal to what the lifeguards do. Joe is certified, he's getting the rest of the rangers certified in what, Joe? EMT?
I'm an EMT, and they'll be certified CPRE.
Perfect. Okay.
Emergency medical technician.
Great. All right, so...
So we're covered, and
Good.
we're covered very well.
So, Commissioners, we still have two big important items of business. Any questions, comments on the main report?
Real quick, first I want to compliment the staff. I mean, bottom line, it looks like revenue's up $3,000 and the expenses are down except for building and grounds. And I know there's another agenda item for capital. And the comment I want to make is I'm concerned we don't have like a capital reserve account or a strategy here. Maybe Mr. Terenzi actually could help us. It really helped us. You did great things with Portchester, actually, but we had more money.
Well, we're gonna make, actually, we'll make a presentation on the capital plan, if not next month, the following month.
All right.
Mayor French.
We did have a huge preseason last year compared to this year, and we've had lousy weather, so that's a big driver. The weekend rate for non-residents and residents last year was $9 on the weekend.
Yeah, let's see. No, it's
Last
lower.
year.
It was $9. No, the year before, I'm sorry.
Last year.
Oh,
You
nine.
mean for
In
residents?
'09, it was $7 and $8 for
$7.
everybody.
So now it's 15.
Yeah, 2 years ago it was $7 and $8.
Okay, unless there's any other questions, no, I'm sorry,
I
Bill.
just wanted to say something good about, you're overlooking that we doubled the amount of permit income by sending out a mailing. Now, we've not been allowed to, sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Now, those people who have permits, they're gonna come more often. They're gonna, maybe they won't pay as much to park, but that's why they'll come more often. There'll be more of them, and I think if you're selling it short, if you
Well-
spend a little bit of money on you spend not a penny on advertising. If we want to reach out to the people outside of the town of Rye, you gotta talk to them, you gotta let them know.
Yeah, except, yeah, that's, well, actually, and this is actually a very important point. But if you go to the second page of the pages we're just looking at, and the transaction comparison report for June, it's sort of a double-edged sword. So, because you're basically getting increased park usage, so we're keeping Seaside Johnny happy. If you look at the units, we went on the parking went from 4,713 to 4,983. But the actual revenue went down substantially, so it's a much more cost-effective way to use the park, and we are successful then in encouraging residents to come to the park, which is great, which is the policy. But I just want everybody, including my friends from my city, to understand that may result in a $200,000 loss this year rather than $100,000 loss this year.
Joe, just to, I don't know if it was a statement or a question, you said something about holidays, not to turn anybody away. Is that you're looking for something from this board?
Well, the question on the table is very quickly, we could, suspend our policy on holiday weekends if we wanted to, in the sense that we would not turn anybody away. We would remove the parking barrier. That may raise another $5,000 or $10,000 in additional revenue. I'm ambivalent. So,
Oh, I'm not.
No, we're not changing the policy, right?
I'm
Okay.
not, because it goes
Okay.
contrary to the policy that we talked about, the safety issues and the measures that we implemented. Couple things. Number one, I asked the question, did we turn anyone away Memorial Day weekend?
No.
And the weather was fairly good as a rule. So until there's anecdotal, yes, evidence this evening, I'm not willing to do that, and I'm not willing to compromise the safety issues. The one thing also, and I know we may have a deficit, and remember, everything that is here, this is a change this year. The goal is to encourage residents to come back to the park. And the fact that I see that the resident beach access in June was, this year, was 548 versus last year at 88, it says to me, we're doing something right. And I understand that that's incorporated into the resident permit. And if you think that I'm favoring the residents of the town of Rye, I sure am.
You're absolutely
I sure am. And I don't
can
want to keep people out, but I'm
Can I
sure
assume-
trying to encourage our residents to use the park.
I assume Mayor Feinstein speaks for the commission?
Yes.
Okay, right, thank you. Wonderful, okay. Who put that crazy idea up in the first place? All right, capital repairs.
Joe,
Yeah.
I just put a little caveat there. Watch our overall attendance because it's down dramatically with the non-residents. So maybe we need to tweak that.
Well, we're just going to have to watch it. I think the commission, your policy, March, yours are very clear. The commission said we fully prefer to have a $200,000 deficit and increase residential use, and which is fine. This year,
Every
year in
year,
transition,
we look at
exactly.
it.
All right, we can't go without the capital repairs. Mr. Nowotnik, you got 30 seconds, and that's
All
all
right, I appreciate it. In your packet, we have basically two items, one of which I would like the commission to approve. It is substantial, and that is that under the historic little bridge by the duck pond, we have a leaking water supply pipe. All right, what we have done is we have brought in John Flynn Consulting Engineers. He helped us develop a specification to repair it. If you look at the photos, what you're looking at is the very first...
Bishop, I think
Okay.
people had a chance to look at the fact. People had a chance to look at any questions for Bishop? This is basically a must-need expenditure. There's no way around it.
We've also had the Rice City engineers take a look at it. Chris was in to see it. I mean, everybody agrees this is something that has to be repaired at our schedule. If we don't do it, it will be repaired on its own schedule, which may involve, for example, we would have to shut the park down. Under emergency conditions, we would have no bathrooms because we would have no water in the park. So we would like to do it under a controlled repair condition.
What's the cost?
The bid that we have right now is $13,800. That's the bid from the town of Rye plumbers.
Now,
We are trying to get two other bids. We're in the process of doing that now.
And it's not in our budget, Bishop?
No, this is considered a capital repair.
Chris has looked at it, right?
Chris has looked at it, and Chris agrees that, this is better that we repair it under our own schedule rather than wait for it to fail. If it fails, we're in serious trouble.
Okay, can I get we'll still try and get lower bids, but can I get, what I'd like to do is get approval to spend at least $14,000 on this repair. Get a motion to spend $14,000 on this much-needed repair? Report, Mr. Sonny?
No.
Oh, is that right?
I asked for 3 bids 2 weeks ago, and I think it's, goes right, it's counterintuitive to what we got our orders to say we have no policy. If it was an emergency, I would have approved it on the 7th. I would have suggested that. We should have got the 3 prices tonight.
And what happened, why didn't we get it?
I don't know, so I'm not in favor of it.
We were not able to get them.
Why not? People don't want to work.
No, it just, we were unable to get them.
Okay, so Mr. Sonny,
That's just, this is the commission. How much one vote? You guys vote. You don't even
Well, okay, I still like to
We may have an emergency tomorrow because the water main may break.
Yeah, look, I don't want to have a situation where the park closes down. So I think that, I'd like to instruct Mr. Nowotnik to go out and get the other 2 bids. And if this bid that we have is the lowest one, go with it. We should go with the lowest bid, but I think I want to allocate $14,000 at minimum for this emergency repair. So, can I get a motion to vote on this?
Do what though?
To spend $14,000, to authorize Mr. Nowotnik.
Putting a cap,
Well, I guess there's
you
2
want to put a cap of $14,000 on the repair.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
in other words, and authorize approval to appropriate money subject to
Getting 2 other
Two
bids.
additional bids.
conformance to our purchasing policy. Do we
Yes.
have a purchasing policy? Excuse
No,
me.
you can't.
No, we don't.
We don't.
So we're subject getting, all right, subject getting 2 other bids. Getting a motion?
Benny, where are you with this?
Well, you guys weren't involved. Now, the rest of the commission was not part of the conversations that I had, so in fairness to my no vote, this is new information for you, it's old information for me. So I requested this already, and it hasn't been received, so the likelihood is it probably won't get it. So, but this is, I'm privy to information that the rest of the commission listen.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not an emergency. I mean, the way I'd rather see this is to come to us, go bid, right? Do what you have to do. Bring us something that shows that you've gone through a bidding process. And then he'll say yes and I'll say yes.
Yeah, but I tell you what, when the sewer spills, the pipe flows in the next intervening 30 days, I think that's a bad decision. I just want to go on the record as saying, I understand, yes, it would have been great to have 3 bids here, but when that pipe flows and you close down the park, I want to go on the record with my constituents as saying I would have approved this, subject to getting 2 further bids.
Well, let me ask you a question. When is this?
Call a special
Does
meeting.
it have to be in a public setting?
No, it has to be, but you can call a special meeting.
Yeah, call a special meeting.
All right.
When
It has to be a public meeting.
when is this contractor
Can't vote on it.
ready to do the work?
Can you vote over the phone?
Our contractor can mobilize.
All right, okay, so I think there's a consensus here to do a special meeting, that's fine.
Okay.
The
No, you
majority,
don't get bids. You said
the triathlon people, are they here?
Yes.
All right, they've been waiting patiently. I have to beg indulgence of the people waiting for the 8 o'clock meeting. We're really going to have to keep this short, gentlemen.
Oh, it's short.
Short, sweet.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Okay. There has been an issue to have a park fee for the Westchester Triathlon. So we just wanted to make sure we gave you a little bit of a background. That, we're basically a local committee, we're basically a local event. We basically feel that we add a lot to the community equation of Rye-Town Park and its constituents. The Jordan Westchester Triathlon basically is a premier sporting event. It takes place in Playland, Rye-Town Park, goes through Portchester, Greenwich, White Plains, Purchase, Dry Brook, and starts and finishes in the Playland, Rye Brook area, Rye-Town Park area, excuse me.
So we've been approached to pay a user fee, number one for 2010 after our budgets have already been kind of cemented, and number two going forward. We certainly understand the need and the way the country is with a lot of